Andy Hamilton of Trackwrestling here at the National Wrestling Hall of Fame Dan Gable Museum. Alongside Cliff Fretwell. Cliff is in town this weekend as an organizer for the C3 camp up in Waverly. This can be going on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Cliff, can you tell us a little bit about C3, what it is, and how it got started?
Yeah, so C3, the Compound College Combine, actually was one of our general manager at Compound, Pete Yates, kind of approached me about the idea about doing a combine. And there was some other guys already doing it around the country, but branding-wise, marketing-wise, organization, data collection-wise, there really wasn't anything to the level that we've seen in other sports, whether it's basketball or baseball or football, which or big revenue sports that have it really organized, and as far as that's concerned. So we kind of took a step back and evaluated what was good, bad, and indifferent about how we go about recruiting in our sport. Talked to a lot of our friends, coaching in the industry from NAI all the way up to Division I, and we're basically like, hey, if you could create the ideal event, within the confines of recruiting rules, what would you guys do? So based on that feedback, we hosted our first event, 2 years ago, which was a pretty big success down in Georgia. We had like 60 plus kids. Did it again this year in Georgia, had like 70 plus kids. And pretty much the who's who of college coaching came in, all the way from, like I said, from NAIA up to Division I schools. And the depth was good, but we're refining our product. And I've had a lot of people contact us, whether it was high school coaches or college coaches or athletes, saying, when are you going to do one somewhere else? And we've been looking around a couple places around the country, and just the connections with the coaches we have here, and it being a wrestling rich area, being up here in Iowa, we figured it was a great opportunity to come up here and give it a shot and see how the area responded to it. Jamie Gray over at Elite Takedown Facilities, which is a massive facility over there. It's a refinished elementary school that they run their club out of. Just seemed like a great place to have it. He's one of our CMP team where sales reps, and obviously runs that facility. So we just figured it was a good opportunity to organize. Reached out to a lot of coaches, in the surrounding areas and states, and we got a great group of coaches coming, great group of kids coming. The depth is great. And I think if we can do it in Iowa and do it in Georgia and do it some other places around the country, it could be really beneficial to everybody.
So you got a few dozen wrestlers signed up for this,
right?
Besides the opportunity to sort of audition in front of college coaches, what else are they going to get out of it? What are you going to put them through?
So when we originally had this idea, it was more of recruiting, showcase, prospect, however you guys refer to it as. But it ended up being like a lot of the kids, especially some of our club kids and parents, were like, that was one of the best camps they've ever been to. And I wasn't thinking of it like a technique camp, but they do get hands-on with a lot of these high-level college coaches, and the coaches come through and they get hands-on with the kids, for some technique, and then we run them through some skills drills and some output drills, whether it's medicine ball throws or mile run or rope climb or things like that. And we're collecting that data, and we pass that data along to the coaches, so the coaches can kind of see what kind of total athlete he is. They get to watch them learn by showing them technique, and then watching them how they interpret that and use it. And then they wrestle live, they wrestle matches, so we kind of put them through the gambit of everything outside of like really testing them intellectually. Like if we did a Wonderlic test or something like that, that's definitely something that's might be in the future, really trying to see completely what these kids are made of. But right now it's more physicality, athleticism, things like that, which a lot of college coaches don't get to see at a tournament, how these kids train. They see them at Super 32 or preseason nationals or something. They see them in the competition realm. They don't necessarily see them in the in the training realm. So it's good to see that aspect of it. And we take feedback from the coaches every time we have one of these, and we try to refine it and make it something that's a great tool for them, because without the athletes coming and without the coaches coming, we really don't have anything. So trying to refine that product and make it better and better every time.
How big do you see this thing growing? How many of these are you going to plan on doing a year?
Well, I mean, in our case, there's only so many college coaches that can attend so many of these things. So we're conscious of that, and I don't ever want to have an event where we're just have an event and only a couple coaches come. I'd rather have 3 or 4 events, total around the country, and only, that massive group of coaches coming, or that pocket of coaches coming. I mean, I could see us doing tops maybe 4 or 5, but I don't see this being something like a youth tournament series where there's 10 of them and they're chasing the triple unicorn golden crown or something like that. I want it to be, I don't want to be saturated. I want it to mean something to the area and to the coaches that are recruiting that area, and it always be a good product. So and it could continue to grow as, I mean, there's tons of programs, so maybe it ends up being we do some just for NAIA schools in an area if they're super rich in NAIA schools or D2 schools or something like that, and then we have our others that are more D1 oriented. It's so early right now. I really can't project. What we're trying to do is just put a good product out there, take the feedback of the coaches and the athletes, and continue to improve it. So.
You got athletes coming in from all over, not just the Midwest.
Right.
Have you been surprised by the response to this?
Kinda and kinda not. Iowa, to me, I thought was a no-brainer, but there again, sometimes you run into that entitlement thing. You go to these wrestling-rich areas, and sometimes the kids are like, I'm from Iowa or PA or New Jersey. I'm gonna get looks no matter what. So, you run into some of those challenges too. But I think we've got Minnesota, California, Kansas. A lot of kids that are not just in this Waverly, Iowa, Cedar Falls, Cedar Rapids area, a couple hours away. So, I haven't been surprised. I've been pleased at people looking kind of over the fence or a little bit further away and saying, hey, this is something that, I want my kid to be a part of, or I want my athlete to be a part of. So a coach, suggests them their kids go. So, and I think the more exposure we have, whether it's, guys like you covering it or, Zeb Miller's coming in and covering it. I think the more pub it gets and the more people see it's a tool, and it's not just kind of this marketing ploy to do an event, that I think everybody can realize the benefit, in a specific area for a specific cause, for a specific reason. So that's kind of what we're trying to do.
If people want to find out more about it, what it's all about, where can they go?
cmpcamps.com/C3 Iowa. We're more than likely going to make our own, C3 website eventually, where there's a lot more information and recruiting info and stuff like that. So I really think this thing could be bigger than just an event. It could be somewhere where people can go and get recruiting information and tips and tricks on how to get your kids set up to recruit, and not just having to dig through the NCAA.com website or NAIA website or something like that to figure out how to get your kid ready to be recruited. So we're going to try to start providing a lot more information, but we're growing steady and taking the info as it comes.
Thanks for joining us, Cliff. Check back to Track Wrestling throughout the weekend. We'll have coverage of the C3 camp up in Waverly.
Awesome.